everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Eddrick Show. I am your host, Eddrick Jerome, and of course, we always promise intelligent conversation with interesting people. Please hit that subscribe button as we grow this thing from the ground up. You can catch us on Instagram at Eddrick Show, and all of that will be in the link where you can get a hold of us and let us know what you think about the show. Today's show is, I'm going to title it Vinyl Therapy. Vinyl collecting and vinyl music is white hot right now. Most folks know that, record sales, according to New Music News, vinyl record sales were the highest they've been in 30 years. There are more vinyl record sales now than compact discs. And it's to the point where artists who want to release their music on vinyl are facing a 9 to 12 month delay in processing. That's how popular vinyl records are right now. Our guest today is D. Gregory Craig. He's also known as B-Dub. He's the co-host of Everything O.G, which you can find on YouTube. That's his YouTube channel. It is for diggers, by diggers. He is a fellow vinyl record aficionado. And today we're going to have a conversation about vinyl records. So, D. Gregory, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. So for our viewing audience, just so you know, a couple of weeks ago, I was at a record festival in Sacramento, very early in the morning. And I look over, I'm doing my thing, and I see this brother across the way. And he's looking at me. And we just kind of connected. And we were both lamenting on we were kind of the only folks that look like us for the most part in this record festival. And so I knew that was somebody I needed to get on the show and talk to. So let's start out, man, with where you grew up, where you from. Give us a little bit about your bio, man.
Okay, well, originally I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, specifically Markham, Illinois. My parents had records, and music's always been a part of my life, man. I remember on Sundays, my mom would turn on the Dusties channel and, playing the Dusties. And my dad had records. He'd play Jimi Hendrix and Elton John and The Doors and James Brown and Motown. Like, his taste was eclectic. He didn't stick to just the black artists. He rock, jazz. He had Coltrane, Thelonious in his collection, and from there, I just, it touched my soul, It spoke to me. And then, hip hop came around, and I say, hey, I know that song. I know that sample, where that came from. And going through my father's collection, like, hey, this is James Brown. And then making that connection. And then after that, it was just unleashed, record stores all the time.
Man. So is it like me? Is it a sickness for you where, I can't go through at least a week or two without some kind of way of looking for vinyl or digging for some vinyl or trying to find something I've been searching for. So tell us about your collecting style and just how that affects you, man.
Yeah, I got to look at least, if there's 7 days in a week, I got to look at least 5. I got to go out, and even if I looked and they said they don't have no new records, I'm digging to something I might have missed. Let's see, how did I just started, I started going through older people's collection when I first started, like my father's collection, my friends' parents' collections, girlfriends' parents' collections. Then when I moved away, I moved to New York City. Well, originally I went to school in Morehouse in Atlanta. And down south, they had flea markets and thrift stores and record conventions. And that's where I learned a little bit more about vinyl collecting. And I got a lot of early gems in my collection during that time before the inflation of costs.
Man, let's talk about that, because that was one of my questions I have listed. For me, I noticed it about 3-4 years ago, maybe a little bit more, where the price of vinyl just went through the roof. Because before, like you said, man, you would be out there, $4 records here, good condition, right? $5 here and there. But then all of a sudden, the prices just went up. So speak on that a little bit, and your thoughts on just how
in the 90s, I was getting records from thrift stores and flea markets for 50 cents to $1 a record, 10 cents for 45s. I'm like the dollar bin bandit. If I can get it for cheap, I'm gonna get it for cheap. Now, if there's something I really want and I can't get it for cheap, I'll shell out the money.
Sure.
I remember my first, what I thought was expensive was a $20 record at the time, and that was Nautilus, Bob James 1. I really wanted that sample, and I met this guy. His name was Richard in Atlanta, and he was like a record dealer. And somebody from there was a college radio station. I forgot the Georgia State Radio. Talib Shabazz ran it. And one of the DJs told me about the guy, Richard, got in touch with him, went to his house, bought the record. And at that time, that was my prized possession, like the most I'd ever spent on a record, because like I said, anything from, $5 is like around the okay, this ain't gonna break me, but I don't want to buy too many $5 records versus, hey, I can spend $1.50 all day. Fortunately, the 90s are gone, and now we're into the 2000s, and man, some of these prices I see for records, and it's not too much the price, it's the condition that the record they're in that they're charging.
Amen.
I wouldn't be so mad about the price. I saw 2 records on a wall yesterday, and I was excited to see them. And the price was like average $60 for one, $100 for the other. But when I pulled them out, they were like, and they were scratching. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how they had the nerve to charge that much for them, but I don't complain anymore, because it's, that's whatever their reasons is, they do it. I just had the right to not buy it and go elsewhere.
Well said.
I know enough about finding records that I'm not stuck to just one particular place. And, I'm not going to be that guy in the record store like, why are you selling this in this condition at this price? Hey, do what thou will.
Yeah, but the hard part though is like you say, that walking away, especially when it's something that, I gotta have that one, man. I don't have it. You're probably a completist like I am. So if you want a certain artist, man, you won't, the whole deal. But I've noticed it, like you, certain record stores and around the Bay Area. I'm not going to say exactly where.
Yeah.
And dude was charging like $35-$40 for some records, and I'm like you, it's like, wow, this is not even very good condition. The cover is not good, no gloss, no sheen, right? The scratches.
Exactly.
I'm like, nah, I can't do that. But like you, I'm sure if there's something you really, really want and it's great condition, you'll get it, right?
Yeah, now when I look, I'm looking for stuff I don't have, the rare stuff, if I'm going to spend some money. But a lot of times I'll go out and I'll just see cheapies of stuff I have that's in good condition, and I'm not sure of the condition I have at home. So I'll grab it if it's a good record for cheap, $2 or $3 or something. I have a lot of those that I've got recently, just records that I know I have 2 copies or a copy of it already, but here it is, cheap, $2, $3. Hey, I can maybe grab it and trade it to somebody for something else.
Now, are there any artists or genres or types of records that you really, really specialize in, or that's a passion to you?
Mostly soul, funk, R&B, gospel. I've been on a gospel kick for the last few years. And, it comes from producing and stuff. Sometimes I, make music on the side. And what I like about gospel music are the intros, the instrumentals. You can sample them, chop them up. And it's an overlooked, genre. A lot of people want the rare groove stuff, but some of them early Savoy records and other labels, they have cool little piano, guitar solo intros and drums, and you can just, do your thing. So when everybody else is going in that way, looking for these big, I'm in the little cheap bands looking for the gospel where I can catch a riff here and there, and
Nah, well, to that point, gospel, as as a music artist and other, there's really no difference to me between blues, gospel, rock and roll. It's just the
exactly.
Lyrics. It's just the lyrics.
Exactly.
The music is the same. It's literally Sam Cooke shattered that wall. Sam Cooke, Aretha Franklin, they shattered those walls.
Exactly.
So it's music, man. It's and you're absolutely right. I would put Billy Preston in that category.
Billy, yeah.
I had a chance to see him probably 10, 15 years ago, maybe more. who was at a church in Berkeley, and he just popped in, man, and just went to town on the
Oh,
organ.
wow.
So, you know, if those who don't know, you youngsters out there, Google Billy Preston, right? But yeah, it's about finding what you like, and so, you know, that's what advice would you give to someone? Because I was in a record store couple days ago, right here locally where I am, and no disrespect to the younger crowd. I mean, they are what they are, but they were probably, it was a couple maybe in their early 20s, whatever, and you could tell they were new because
Yeah.
she walked up, well, what is this? And you know, do you have something I can play it on? I mean, they were just getting started. I'm thinking, okay, it's popular now. You know, it's a popular form of collecting now. So, what advice would you give outside of, you know, the types of finding something that you love? But what would you
Um,
tell people? And before you answer, just so that our listeners know, vinyl record collectors are very secretive about where we shop and where we go, right? We don't always advertise. We'll give you general ideas, and that's okay. So I don't want you to give away
yeah.
your trade secrets, because you know we always got those go-tos where you go and you find what you like. But what advice would you give somebody who's like, yeah, I'd like to get involved in some of this vinyl collecting? What would you tell them?
Well, a lot of times I see young guys digging in the record stores and I'm like digging next to them to the bargain bin. I'll pull out certain records I think are good beginner records, like, hey, this has a drum break on it, or a bass line, or so and so sampled this. And I ask them, what kind of stuff you looking for? And I'll pull out a few that they might have overlooked. Like, hey, I don't know if you saw this, but this is a good record to get. And sometimes they'll take my recommendations. Other times they'll just, keep digging what they're looking for. I don't know what kids look for nowadays, but I just try to put them on to, easily overlooked records, that they're looking for the brand name. Usually they're looking for like the Rick James, the Prince, the Michaels, but they may not know about the Commodore's got this, or the Al Green has this, or, this rock group Tanya Tucker has a nice little drum break on it, or even this Cher has a drum break, or, stuff like that. And sometimes they'll turn their nose up at it, like, hey, take a chance. That's what record buying is about. And my whole philosophy is, if the cover looks interesting and it's cheap, I'm gonna grab it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. For
And
me,
sometimes you get burned, but if it's cheap, it's not that big of a loss.
right, right. And there's
You
always
know,
something. I mean, we know that albums back in the day, very few albums where you could put it on from and run both sides out, and every song is great. And I mean, there was filler, man.
yeah,
Everybody has filler, right? Outside of maybe like you say, Prince, Michael Jackson, people like that, the biggies. But you know, I really love the composers like a Lalo Schifrin. All right, I'm
okay,
all on Lalo Schifrin right now. Been on a kick, did Enter the Dragon, did a whole bunch of '70s stuff. Jazz came up through the tail end of bebop into when jazz went into fusion, and Lalo Schifrin is a bad man, and so
yeah.
I love composers. And when I was checking out your Instagram page, something caught my eye, and I was like, okay, I know you have varied taste, because you had a Link Ray album cover. And if you don't know about Link Ray, there's actually a documentary, I think it's still on Amazon Prime, about the impact of Native Americans on popular music. And Link Ray with Rumble changed the game. I mean, he really did. So how did that Link Ray connection come to you? And when did you first start going venturing down that kind of road, man?
I had Link. This year was the first year I heard of Link Ray. I'd see maybe the pictures on people's Instagram and everything, and I saw it in a while, and I said, I've seen this before. This is cheap. Let me check it out. So I got it and I listened to it, and I was like, oh, it's some funky stuff on here. I was surprised. Like him, Tony Joe White, I think. He has some funky stuff on there. Like some of these country or folk artists, you can't sleep on them, because you might think, oh, it's just acoustic guitar and them war protest songs, but they get down on some of them, especially the country artists. Like some, like that Muscle Shoals, some of that, that Nashville. You think of country and you think Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, and the Twain.
Right.
But some of them is like country rock with a little jazz and funk in it, and stacks. And you can always judge a record by its cover. That's you look at the cover and you want to grab it. Sometimes you have to go for those unassuming ones too. And I think that's where Instagram has been a help for me at in increasing my taste. You know, I follow a lot of different record collectors, and I'll peep what they grab, and sometimes they'll post clips or give a description. I'm like, okay, you know, next time I'm out digging, I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. And sometimes I'll find it. Sometimes I'll go on Discogs, and if it's cheap, I'll grab it and, you know, get it home. Like, okay, you know, and I'll say in that aspect, Instagram has been a big benefit in collecting, you know, in that arena. I mean, it has its cons too. I mean, internet has its cons too. The prices of everything has gone up now.
Right.
What might have been a cheap record in this state because of the internet, it's now expensive everywhere because they say, oh, they're asking $50 for it in Chicago. Well, hell, we got 10 of them here. Yeah. Let's ask 50 of them for here. We can mail it out and get just as much money.
Yeah.
So that's one bad thing, but you know.
That's a great point you make about that, because I know even probably before even the pandemic, I would buy a lot of records from overseas, and the shipping costs weren't crazy like they are now. I mean, you buy stuff from Germany, from, you know, everywhere. And now sometimes the shipping costs more than the record, man. I mean, you got records over in London that are like, you know, maybe $15, but it's $25 to ship them. And so they kind of, it's like, you know, so I look now, I sort it first for what's in the US just because of the shipping costs. But that's, again, it's just the popularity and what's going on with shipping in the world.
Media mail, they're asking like $6, $6.50 now. And I remember when $4 was the norm. Yeah. There was a record I wanted to buy, and I think they only wanted $2, but they wanted $6 to ship it. So that's $8, then plus tax. Now they're charging tax. So it's $10 for a $2 record. And I'm like, okay, I'll just take my chance and wait till I find it in the wild now.
Yeah, man.
You know, I mean, I don't want to sound cheap, but you know, with money and cost of everything and value, you want to get your value. You don't want to just be spending. I think that might be a lot of these new collectors. You know, they just have all this disposable income, and they're gonna go for the grails and just spend. Oh yeah, I got this on eBay. I want it for $150. Why would you pay $150 for a $20 record?
Exactly.
You know, I mean, more. You know, you got it. But some is just like, dude, you know, you're driving the price up for no reason.
Or you're not shopping. You're not really putting the time in.
Yeah.
See where it might be available somewhere else at a better price, man.
And I believe it's a buyer's market. You know, if this person is selling it and you don't want to buy from them, you can go elsewhere. Somebody's going to have it cheaper or where you want it. It's just if you have the patience, you know, you know, you don't have to buy the first one you see with it, you know. Yeah. And I think that's where it comes, you know, patience comes in the game, because my philosophy is they didn't make just one of this record. So there's more copies and you'll see it again. Now, sometimes it may be years before you see it again.
Right.
But collecting is a patience thing, you know, you got to have patience.
It is. And you got to have instinct to where sometimes if you see something, jump on it. You just, you know, because like you say, out in the wild, I'm kicking myself because about 6 months ago, I was at a place doing some digging, and I saw the original Pete Rock CL Smooth, When They Reminisce Over You, that whole album, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was like $40, and I was like, and I didn't get it. You know, and I'm kicking myself now. You know, that's Pete Rock CL Smooth, man, and I'm like, why didn't I? So it's regret. And I looked up and I was like, oh, I'm paying that for it. So those are the kind of the ones that get away. So anything for you, man, like that, where one got away, where you thought about it? Man, tell me about it.
It was at a flea market, and I was digging through one box real quick, and I saw the back of the album, and I thought it was a George Duke album. I passed on it, and I went to the next box, and the guy behind me went straight for the record. And he flipped it over, and it was a Marvin Holmes, one of his late 80 records. And I was like, God damn. You know, but fortunately, I found it on Discogs like maybe a few weeks later for $20. I'd rather have paid the $3 the guy was asking for, but
Right.
$20 ain't bad for that. But, you know, most of my regrets is just digging too fast and passing over stuff and just like, I got to slow down, pay attention more,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I like reading the credits, man, and session musicians and seeing the commonality. Oh, okay, this cat played on this record, and oh, if he's playing on this record, then you know it's going to be this and that. So,
Yeah.
the credits and I know we're in the streaming era now, and in many ways, streaming really benefits the consumer because you literally can get what you want when you want it. You're not beholden to what's programmed to you. I remember the golden era of Napster, and I tell young
Mm.
folks, you guys just don't understand what Napster did, because now I could have a whole hard drive full of music for free at that point because Napster was
Yeah.
free. So the whole streaming thing has changed the game. But um, in your view, do you think vinyl records in many ways kind of complement streaming? I mean, talk to me about your view on the digital nature of music now.
For a while, let me see. I think from like the year 2000 to 2014, I had stopped collecting records. And that was the time I initially moved to Los Angeles. I'd moved to Los Angeles from Chicago in like 1999. And I think when I first got down there, I didn't like, I don't know, so I went to one record store and I didn't like the experience and I just stopped. It was like this place called the Record Collectors on Melrose. And the guy was a real, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I just stopped caring about records at that. I don't know what, a switch turned off.
Hmm.
And so in 2014, I went into a record store with a buddy and then the switch turned back on and I haven't stopped since. But from that year of 2000 to 2014, I got into MP3s and I was downloading everything on MP3 and records and rare stuff, all kind of stuff, this MP3s. I haven't really gotten to the Tidal or Spotify or stuff like that because I'm still an MP3 guy.
Okay.
SoulSeek was my favorite application to find MP3s, and but I find MP3s easier because, like I say, it's well, digital music is easier because it's easy to take with you. You can put it on your phone. I was a big iPod guy, and then when the phones got the capability to put MP3s and stuff on it, oh man, they're on my phone. I can play it when I want to. I don't have to worry about internet, dropping off and I can't hear anything. It's on my phone, So, I mean, I think they go hand in hand. A lot of times I'll take my albums and I'll convert them to MP3, or songs I want. So, they go hand in hand.
Are you a proponent, or I know many people believe that vinyl sounds better than digital, and I think the technology is catching up. I think there are some. You mentioned Tidal. The one thing I like about Tidal is they actually have a hi-fi option and they actually sometimes now they're posting the masters of digital music, so you get some of that warmth. But there's something about just a nice vinyl sound, 2-channel, and it's just, to me, it just sounds more full, and you do hear things, I think, a little bit better because of the way the wavelengths are a little bit slower, and that's just my own opinion.
Yeah.
And the fact that a vinyl record, especially back in the day, you would get the whole story. The artists, they would, a lot of times writers of note would write the liner notes, especially a lot of the jazz albums, Blue Note.
Yeah.
Today, your Nat Hentoffs, your people like that would write these essays, giving you a peek behind the curtain, so to speak. So, yeah, man. So, in terms of what you play it on, I know, again, I'm seeing, I am not one of these types that's going to pay $2,000 for a record player, or a weighted balance, and your stylus cartridge is $400. No, I got a nice set, I got a nice amp, preamp, and all that. But are you a high end turntable kind of guy, or?
I'm a Technique 1200 turntable kind of guy.
Okay.
I will admit I do want a Marantz receiver, and it could just because of the hype. If I was able to find one in the wild for cheap, I would get that. I'm not a big audiophile. Like I have to have the pristine, the speakers, measured this far away and it's sound dampening. I'm turning it up, I'm turning it loud, and I'm jamming,
Yeah.
But I can appreciate that. I read some of the articles about the argument versus analog versus digital. As long as I can hear it and I can catch the melody and the beat, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
As long as it's not muffled.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you collect. I'm a big Prince collector, but what's your thought?
Man, I put some of my favorite Prince albums right behind me.
Oh, let's talk, man. I'm a Prince maniac. So
this was 1999, and then
man.
when Purple Rain came out.
Oh yeah.
And then this ain't Prince, but these were the records I had in my rotation. Prince, Michael Jackson, 1999.
Yeah.
I just, controversy, all that, just those 82, 83, 84,
man,
that's what's on rotation.
See, for me, I loved the remixes. I love alternative versions, remixes. And so if you remember from us back in the day, Prince would put out an A-side hit, but a lot of the best stuff was on the B-side, man.
Yeah.
And you'd get these 8-minute tracks, you'd get a 21-minute track of America. I mean, all of this music, because he has so much music.
Yeah.
And so I'm asking you that leading up to, we were recording this on, in mid-March, but they just made the announcement that the infamous Camille album is going to be released on vinyl. And
really?
Yeah. And so for those who don't know, Camille was an alter ego of Prince. It was with the high voice. So you heard it on Housequake. You heard it on songs like that. And so this was like the holy grail. The Black Album is one thing. Camille was a whole nother level, man. And so Jack White, I think, from the White Stripes, that he's got a big time production vinyl company. They're collaborating with the Prince estate to put it out. And the reason I'm asking you this is because it seems though the re-releases of classic albums aren't necessarily, because some people thought, oh, well, that would affect the originals. But it's actually, I think it's making the originals more valuable because they're putting them out now and people could have access to them, but it's still not like that first pressing, man.
Yeah. I'm not a big reissue buyer. I try to keep everything OG. But I mean, there's a few things that are just, I'll grab, because it's either impossible and my patience is wearing thin trying to find it, or I just want it for whatever reason, and like most of these reissues of stuff I have, like I think they reissued, what was it, Sign of the Times lately, and they had like extra versions and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, it was like 5, well, no more than that. I think like 7 or 8 albums worth of material.
Yeah,
from the vault, right?
That I would probably buy that on CD or MP3 and just stick with the original vinyl. That's the type of person I am. I'll keep the original vinyl and get the MP3 or the CD and listen to it like that. Yeah. I used to be a big tapes person before, like around when hip hop really came around, like the 80s. It was just tapes. I like the records, but you couldn't take the records everywhere. I love the art, but it was like, okay, I got my boombox here.
Yeah.
I need a tape to play it on. So I was buying tapes,
Did you tape off the radio back in the day?
Oh, all the time. I used to stay up all night, man, trying to catch the joints, the Hot 8 at 8, taping the song you wanted, And when there was a college radio station, WHBK 88.5 in Chicago. And that's how we heard a lot of the New York hip hop or West Coast hip hop in Chicago. They would play the unedited versions and stuff. And it's hard getting a signal because it was a small college station. And you'd have like a coat hanger and a wire attached to it and moving the antenna. And once you got a clear signal, you stuck with it and you would just
don't move.
Don't move and just getting all the songs. And we go play basketball and play it in the boombox. And like, okay, that was my early forays back in the day.
Man. Let me share a couple of my favorites with you because I pulled a couple, man.
Okay.
One thing I noticed, you did a whole show on Dilla. And
yes.
If you look behind me, I don't know if you can see, right next to the Eddrick show is Dilla, right?
Dilla on the MPC.
Yeah, so one of my favorite records is actually an interpretation of Dilla by Robert Glasper, the Dilla Suite.
Okay.
This one, it was hard to find. It took me a while to get it, but from Robert Glasper, Tribe, another one, because I knew you was a big fan of Dilla. This one's just instrumentals, but it's that Slum Village, man. Fantastic
Oh,
Volume 2, the instrumentals.
I got the actual one still.
Yeah, yeah, man. So talk to me about. I mean, I know there's a new book out about Dilla, but talk to me about what Dilla means to you, and just maybe explain why he's such an important artist, man.
Um, let's see. I'm gonna say I got on the when he was going by JD, I wasn't that big of a fan. And I like the stuff with Slum. I mean, I like the stuff with Far Side and the
Yeah,
Roots and stuff like
yeah,
that. But I was like, he's just like, okay, Pete Rock clone or whatever.
right.
It was when he became more J Dilla, and I started, and I used to be on the message board, OK Player, and Questlove.
Mm-hmm.
He would always say, "Oh man, you guys, JD Dilla is the next level. He can do the stuff Premier can do. He can do the stuff Pete Rock can do, all better. His new batch of beats, you're not ready for this." So I was like, okay, what has he got? And this is around the time, like maybe a year or two before Donuts came out,
Okay.
before everybody knew he was sick and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He put little snippets like that move beat that Q-Tip used. He put that up as a snippet and a couple other stuff. So I was like, all right, this is more soulful. I like that stuff. And then when I heard a couple of the beat tapes where he took the Motown stuff and just chopped it up, I was like, wow, this is ill. And then when Donuts came out, I had to bear witness because I was just a Primo guy before that. Like if it was Primo, you couldn't tell me nothing. Nah, he's not, nobody's better than Primo. This is DJ Premier,
Mm-hmm.
And then I just slowly started changing my tune. It's just like, oh man, this Dilla guy here, he's something else. Just what he would do on just the MP3 or the MPC, it was just crazy. So
Genius, man. It was genius.
And what it means to me is just unbridled creativity.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't let the limitations of the machine stop him. He found a way. Whatever he had in his head, he found a way to get out of the machine he was on.
Mm-hmm.
And then just his work ethic, his dedication, his discipline. There were admirable qualities. I've always admired people that could hear a song and put the beat together in their head, because that's not how I could do it. I had to put it on the pads and play around with it till it sounded like something good. But to make it in his head and then get on the pads and bring it out, that to me is like a whole nother level.
Yeah. I've always been drawn to innovators, and I think, the stuff he did with Common on the Like Water for Chocolate, that one, that blew me away, man. And so I started getting into him, and some of the remixes he was doing, and Running, to me, with the Far Side is top 5 all time. You talk hip hop, you can't talk and discuss the legacy of hip hop without putting Running up there. And what I like to do is, because I have the remixes, I like listening to the instrumentals. And when you hear the instrumental of Running, or he did the remix of Saturday Night, you hear some of the things he did and how he influenced De La Soul and
Stakes is High
and Kanye and all of these folks, man, D'Angelo, all of these people that he was the source material, man. He was that DNA, that sourdough bread starter, right?
He was the inspiration.
Took a little bit of that and it just mushroomed, man. And I think when you see him interpreted by great artists like Robert Glasper, who I love, man. I just saw him a couple of weeks ago in San Francisco. When he interprets Dilla and just how orchestral it and just how it's just indescribable. It's just motivating.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. That's the way.
I just got a hard copy of the Suite for Ma Dukes, and that is a beautiful listen. Just to hear them interpretate, fantastic. Look of Love, the intro, just and Cream Riggins on the drums. It's just
man. Yeah.
He made beautiful music that had a hard feel to it, you know.
Right.
That was his strength, man. He'd take something, make it sound beautiful, but still have that ruggedness that was hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and his own little funky bounce to it. That, you know,
Yeah.
it was yo.
Yeah. No, we could go on all day, man. We got a couple minutes left, and so let me just start wrapping it up by first of all just thanking you for coming on, man, and chopping it up about vinyl music. Maybe we can come on. You can come on again, man, and as you acquire
Oh
things, we
yeah,
can compare albums and maybe pick some themes and topics to talk about.
most
But
deaf.
uh, but yeah, and so for you, man, just as we close, again, for our listening audience, what would you tell them about vinyl and what motivates you, and maybe just what would you share with someone who says, I really think this vinyl thing is cool.
Um, that's hard to say. I mean, people collect for different reasons. Maybe me is nostalgia, you know, trying to hold on to that piece of my childhood, you know, and you know, because I look at it. Sometimes I buy records and I don't even listen to them. You know, I'll buy them and just stack them to the side, and you know, I don't know why I do that. Maybe it's a hoarder in me. Like, you know, I know what it sounds like, and I feel more comfortable having it.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, but I would say just have to start with a love of music, you know, and you know, just don't get caught up in grails and hype and stuff like that. Buy what you like, you know what I mean? Buy and listen to what you like, and if one of these grails or hype does float your boat, hey, go for it, you know.
hmm
But
last
learn your own taste.
last quick question for you. Are you a crates guy? Are you like for me, man? I like organization and
I
alphabetical.
like organization. I'm a
Yeah, okay.
Calyx guy.
Okay, yeah, okay, for
You
sure.
know, I have them out, and then I
For
have the
sure.
pictures of the record facing out on it when I have it. That's how I like it.
Yeah, yeah. I was a crates guy for a while until I became more mature, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done with these crates, man. I got to be a little more sophisticated with how I store my vinyl. So,
You know, right now I have everything in boxes. I'm in the process of moving, so I can't wait to get done moving so I can put them on back on the shelves on the wall and have them nicely displayed and everything. But for now, they're all in boxes.
right on, man.
You
Well,
know,
the Gregory Craig, a.k.a. B Dub, thank you so much. If people want to get a hold of you on your Instagram, how can they get a hold of you, man?
it's BLDNGBLCK on Instagram. YouTube channel is Everything O.G. Twitter BLDGN BLCK. Though I'm not very active on that, but
Sure.
Instagram is where I'm mostly at.
Okay, we'll put links in the description so everybody can find you, man. And again, um, it was cool running into you, man. It was nice to see
Likewise.
another brother, interesting brother out doing the thing, man, and elbow to elbow with people trying to get this
that
music, man.
that may be our next topic of conversation. Like, where are we at when it comes to buying records and digging? You don't see a lot of us,
No, no, you don't, man, and it's strange because I know we're a little quick aside. Um, that seems to have fueled some of the value increase. I'll say is just that there's and I don't want to label a bunch of people, but the hipsters, right? The people, the
Yeah.
coffee shops, and and they got and it seems like that has had an impact on the industry, on the vinyl collecting industry, because we were kind of underground for a long time, and
Yeah.
DJs or whatever, and even DJs now, they you really don't need vinyls per se, but I just started to notice, there's record stores in like Napa now, and right, it's like okay, so, but yeah, man, we'll have you back on, and we'll focus a little bit more on that next phase about the collecting process.
Yes,
So
sir.
again,
Thanks for having me, man.
likewise, man. So sit tight. This is the Eddrick Show. I'm your host, Eddrick Jerome. Please hit subscribe, and you will always get intelligent conversation with interesting people. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Peace.